It was a struggle for the last placed Welsh Fire women in 2021, but they brought in some big names for the 2022 season. Can their new captain, Tammy Beaumont, prove a point in 2022? Our squad preview coming up next. Welcome to the 100 Club. My name is Tom, and I'm joined by Rich for the second of our Women's 100 2022 previews. I'll get that out eventually. If you're new here, welcome. We love having you here. Hit the subscribe button if you want some more previews. And if you're returning, that's great to see you again. Hit the like button if you like what we're doing. It helps us out. Apparently, YouTube works on likes. Who knew? Rich, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Tom. I'm looking forward to discussing the Welsh Fire. Of course, the recipients of the wooden spoon this time last year. Are they going to be any better this time around?
Well, the immediate target for them is to be better than their men's team, and I think they'll pass that one pretty easily. But maybe I'll cut down on the saltiness and not save myself until we've actually looked at their squad. So hold it there, hold that thought. Okay, let's in fact bring up the women's lineup rather than the men's. Let's do that.
Do you want to start again?
No, I don't.
All right.
Okay,
fair enough.
Let's go with the women's lineup. As I say, here we go. Straight up at the top is probably the big story with the Welsh Fire women in 2022, which is the arrival of Tammy Beaumont. What do you make of that?
Wow, as a London Spirit fan, obviously I'm disappointed because Tammy Beaumont is one of the best batters in world cricket, and she played for the Spirit last year, but obviously wanted the opportunity to captain a side. And with Heather Knight in front of her at the Spirit, little did she know about Heather Knight's hip injury a year into the future. She wanted a different opportunity, so she's ended up at the Welsh Fire, and she has an interesting squad at her disposal. Quite different to last year's team, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, for Tammy, the opportunity was, as you say, to take up a captaincy role, but also I think she's got a point to prove. She was dropped from the England setup for the Commonwealth Games. For not obvious reasons, from my point of view. Still seems to be in good form. What do you want to say about it?
Well, they said they wanted to go for a more aggressive option at the top of the innings. So I think they wanted to give the opportunity to Sophia Dunkley to open the innings, more of a boundary option. I'm not sure. But yeah, she does have a bit of a point to prove, and I think she'll use her time at the Fire to do it.
Okay, well, that's a fire in her at least, and alongside her at the top there, we've put Hayley Matthews, the overseas star, currently playing for Barbados in the Commonwealth Games and doing pretty well, in good form, and had a good 100 tournament in 2021.
Oh yeah, I think she was comfortably the best player for the Fire last time around.
Yeah,
she had 220 runs in the tournament last time around. I think that was 5th overall, and I'm not surprised they invited her back because she was just about the best thing about that team last year.
Yeah, and again, in decent nick, hitting a few runs at least in the Commonwealth Games, although the last 2 innings haven't been so good. And then what they've done is they've radically overhauled, clearly, some of the overseas picks, bringing back in Australians. Now, if you want good quality women's cricketers, you tend to think Australia is a good place to look, right? So what do you think of their options that they've taken there? Rachael Haynes, Annabelle Sutherland and Nicola Carey.
Well, as you say, when it comes to women's cricketers, you can't really go wrong if you bring in the Australians. Of course, the first edition of the 100 was still within the COVID era. Well, we are still within the COVID era, but the travel restrictions were in full flow. And a lot of the premier Australians, at least those in the national side, didn't want to come across last time. So there was sort of a second... It's wrong to say second tier, but it's fair to say players who were just outside the domestic team came over. The likes of Piper Cleary, I think, played for the Fire last year. Now they've gone the level above that, so you're actually getting players from the Australian national team. So the likes of Rachael Haynes, very experienced, Annabelle Sutherland, and I think they're going to be an upgrade on what that Fire had last time around.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Rachael Haynes for me is more of a longer format player, maybe more naturally than the shorter stuff, but clearly bags of experience and top quality player. There's no doubt about that with the technique to go and do something in the tournament. I'm pretty confident and will play. She was a top salaried player at £31,250. Also, I think I'm intrigued really to see Annabelle Sutherland. She's only 20 years old, but she's already an international in Australia in all formats of the game. And if you're doing that at 20, then you must have something about you, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're not going to get into that team by accident. So, yeah, it'd be exciting to see. I wonder whether, you've got to hit down on the card here going in as low as 6. I wonder maybe we see her a bit higher than that.
Yeah, genuine all-rounder though, right arm, medium fast. So it could be anywhere, as you say. And we don't always like to fix these batting lineups necessarily quite as much as it looks like on a piece of paper like that. Okay, but as we have it there, we have Fran Wilson and Sarah Bryce in behind. What do we make of those two?
Well, they're both newcomers, right? Sarah Bryce was at the Oval Invincibles last year. I think Fran Wilson was too, right? So
yeah, but recently been playing for the Storm, of course, and bags of experience with Fran.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the connection, isn't it, between the domestic structure and the 100. So women's cricket in the UK or in England and Wales has the 8 regional centre models, which feeds very nicely into the 800 franchises, and obviously Western Storm and Welsh Fire have that connection. So it makes sense for them to be there. And I wonder if Sarah Bryce might get a little bit more time in the middle than she did with the Oval last year, when she kept incredibly well, but didn't get to contribute much with the bat.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, because obviously she is a very talented keeper, but obviously Tammy Beaumont keeps a bit as well. Who do you think will keep for this side?
I think Sarah Bryce will. I think Beaumont's more of a part-time keeper these days.
Yeah, fair enough. And then down into the bowlers, we've got Georgia Hennessy, Claire Nicholas, very experienced, lots of good England experience as well, I believe, if I'm just checking my notes. Yeah. Bit of Katie George, Alex Griffiths, and Alex Hartley, who's finding a bit of form again after a bit of a dry patch.
Yeah, indeed, and has made the switch from Manchester Originals after she felt like she wasn't being paid enough by them, or felt a bit disrespected in the contract offer they made her. I think Katie George is an interesting one, because she was quite lauded a few years back as being sort of the next off the rank in terms of England all-rounders. And maybe a few players have moved a little bit ahead of her in the pecking order over the last 12 to 18 months. So she'll need a good tournament in order to sort of get herself back into that mix, into what is a very competitive England squad at the minute. Very tricky to get yourself in.
Yeah, it was named the women's fielder of the tournament last year as well. So another aspect of the game that often is undervalued. But looking forward to seeing that aspect, and took an absolute blinder of a catch in the deep, I remember in particular.
Yeah.
So they've got a number of additional options on the bench there. You've got Fee Morris, who I think was at the Southern Brave last year. So maybe bringing some of the winning ways over. Any other comments on the bench?
Well, except they didn't win. But I quite like the idea of Hannah
Baker. They won more than the Welsh Fire.
It's true. It's true. I like the idea of Hannah Baker getting into the team. She was quite impressive in the Charlotte Edwards Trophy. Got an honourable mention in Cricketers' Team of the tournament. And I think she might sort of feature perhaps maybe ahead of Alex Griffiths.
Possibly.
But we shall see.
Yeah, 18 years old, leg breaks, bowls, as you say, really well, and definitely one to watch, and will get some game time. I'm absolutely convinced about it. Okay, Rich, so the Welsh Fire, are they a better team than 21? And what do you think of their chances in 22?
They're a better team than they were in 21. The problem is everyone else has improved as well. And they'll win a few games, but I don't see them threatening the final stages.
Yeah, could be another tough campaign for them, but they can always prove us wrong. And our opinion is just always that, just an opinion, and we'd like to know yours. So if you have any comments on the Welsh Fire lineup, put them down in the comments below. Always interested to hear them. And as I say, if you like what we do, hit the subscribe and the like, and that's also appreciated. Rich, got a few more of these to do, so get yourself ready, and we'll catch you next time on the 100 Club.